You are listening to Radio Maria Canada. We now present the Health Hub, hosted by Cathy Biase.
Welcome to the Health Hub on Radio Maria Canada, exploring cutting-edge health and wellness information and therapies, helping you to take your health to the next level. I'm your host, Cathy Biase, and I'm an holistic nutritionist and a professional cancer coach. On our episode today, we are talking about glutathione, the body's master antioxidant and a key player in energy, detoxification, and longevity. And my guest is Dr. Nayan Patel, pharmacist, wellness expert, and founder of Auro Wellness, whose groundbreaking work has changed how we restore glutathione in the body. Dr. Patel is a sought-after pharmacist, wellness expert, and thought leader in his industry. He has been working with physicians since 1999 to custom develop medication for their clients and design a patient-specific drug and nutrition regime. He has been the pharmacist of choice to celebrities, CEOs, and physicians themselves. He recently published his first comprehensive book, The Glutathione Revolution: Fight Disease, Slow Aging, and Increase Energy. After 11 years of clinical research on the master antioxidant glutathione, Dr. Patel and his team developed a patent technology to deliver glutathione topically, changing the game on how to best absorb GSH systemically. From this technology, he additionally developed the Auro GSH antioxidant delivery system to create a skincare line to deliver antioxidants more efficiently and effectively than ever before as potent concentrations. This is a conversation about cellular protection, resilience, and aging well, and why many people are missing the mark with this. Some of the key points that we discuss are what glutathione is and why it is considered the master antioxidant, how boosting glutathione levels help prevent chronic diseases, and what led to the development of topical glutathione and its delivery system, and how it works differently in the body from other delivery systems. Stay tuned, everybody. We will be back in just a few minutes to speak with Dr. Patel.
You are listening to Radio Maria Canada. We now continue with the program, The Health Hub, hosted by Cathy Biase.
Welcome back to the Health Hub, everybody. Please do follow us on our social sites. We are on Instagram, X, and Facebook, and we are at the Health Hub RMC on those locations. Dr. Patel, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me here this morning.
Really interesting topic, and I'm really looking forward to either introducing this to our listeners or expanding their knowledge thereof. But we're going to be focusing on glutathione and the pathways that take us down in this conversation. But for the listeners who are new to this topic, what exactly is glutathione, and why do we call it the master antioxidant?
Absolutely. I mean, that's a very common question. Even though our body, the most abundant molecule produced in the human body is glutathione, nobody talks about it as of yet. And the reason is because it's for 140 years that we have known about glutathione. We had no way to actually improve those levels to the highest levels by any medications or whatever we can do. So that's why we don't talk about this thing. But in the simplest, in the chemical terms, it is a peptide. It's coming three amino acid chains coming together as a peptide but it's not about the chemical structure that's more important at what it does for us. That's what it's known for. And glutathione is basically an antioxidant, which is reduces the free radicals, it removes all the charged molecules, both oxygen as well as nitrogen species. And that's what it's known for. The second most function that it does that nobody talks about this one is it activates conjugation pathways in your liver and actually help detoxify your liver to the chemicals level and removes all the toxic materials outside your body. So it's two things that it does. It basically cleans the body from inside out.
That's interesting. Now, peptide leads to the talk of amino acids, as you said, and amino acids come from protein, correct?
Yes.
And all the talk about protein and we should be, maximizing our protein throughout the day and so forth. This is a little bit off topic, but has this impacted the overall quality of our glutathione, the amount of our glutathione, or is it just completely different pathway than the simple breaking down of protein and building up of amino acids?
Well, that's one way of doing it, right? That's the most common way the body produces own glutathione, and it's only one amino acid that is not abundantly found in your diet, which is cysteine. So if you as a consumer can just consume cysteine-rich foods, and I'm not going to give you a whole list because you can
Hmm.
it's easy to put in your favorite chat box or your AI robot. Give me cysteine-rich foods, and they'll get your vegan choices, your vegetarian choices, your carnivore, your omnivores, whatever, right? Any diet that you plan you follow, you can find those choices. That has to be part of your diet on a daily basis.
Hmm.
But even with that cysteine molecule, a body still needs to have two enzymes, two molecules of ATP, which is a mitochondrial energy, and one molecule of NAD for electron transfer. This whole chemical reaction has to happen to produce one molecule of glutathione.
Okay.
And so as we age, the number one issue as we age is what? Fatigue, tired. And that is because our mitochondria are either reducing the numbers or are not becoming so efficient in producing enough energy. Maybe the fuel source that is getting to produce energy is not good source. We eat a lot of sugars and a lot of refined carbs and things like that. That's not probably the healthiest way to produce energy, but that's what we have. And so, even though we have all the substrates, all the proteins, all the amino acids, but if you don't have enough energy, the process breaks down.
The key piece for me here, and it's something again, I will bring it back to glutathione completely, but the enzymatic reactions. A lot of people don't understand what enzymes do in the body, and I think this is a perfect place to place them within the creation of glutathione and explaining what the enzymes do, and maybe you can let us know some key components of these enzymes to help in the pathway of creation of glutathione.
Well, the enzymatic process is pretty simple. It's basically it's most enzymes people talk about these things is people talk about enzymes as breaking down the proteins into various amino acids. This enzyme is actually combining two amino acids together to produce a molecule. So, like for example, you have one enzyme that would take the two amino acids and they will combine them together and then take another enzymes with the two other amino acids plus one other amino acid and combine the third amino acids and that basically two enzymes will make glutathione. So
Okay.
that's what we are talking about enzymes. And if you want to more go into detail about what enzymes there are there, I mean, we can talk about that as well. But it's most importantly is people need to realize that this enzymes are it's it's a it's something to build the molecules together, not to
Mhm.
break it down.
Okay. We talked about, or you talked about detoxification within the liver, conjugation within the liver, and mitochondrial function. What about disease prevention and immune function? How are those tied in to glutathione?
So you know what the Glutathione is a molecule has two primary function, antioxidants and conjugations and detoxification. Two primary function. But what happens that is that if those two functions are done effectively, it frees up enough energy, mitochondrial energy, which is ATP, and put the body to rest of doing those two key functions. By doing so, it actually activates your own body's response to other processes where it has to restore and repair the body. Now, we have done the one human trial. When I say we, I've been talking about the university locally in California, where they have done one human trial where in 3 days they were giving them the glutathione, and what they found out was by using glutathione within 3 days, they were able to improve all the immune responses, all the immune markers, because to facilitate the process of checking this thing, what they did was they infected the blood with mycobacterium infection, which there is no cure for it. So the only way we can get rid of this infection is if you activate your own immune system. And so what they did was they applied the glutathione, they took a blood sample, they put the mycobacterium infection in the blood sample, and they monitored for the blood sample for the next 3 days. What they found out was that within 1 hour of the applying the glutathione, the people that use the glutathione, their blood samples, the mycobacterium load went down. The other people that had no glutathione or that had a placebo had no, in fact, the mycobacterium load went up because it was replicating. And so the researchers looked at it and said, okay, this is interesting. How is it doing that part? And at the end, they were looking at all the immune markers, the cytokines, the IL-2, IL-12, TNF alpha, interferon gammas. They looked at all those markers, they all went up. In a normal sense, those inflammation markers are causing what is inflammation in the body, but a low-grade inflammation is actually overactivation of the immune system that helps kill infections, diseases, and things like that, which needs to be activated. If the body is too busy dealing with oxidative stress and detoxification pathways not being active, the body cannot restore, repair, or build up your own immune system. And so glutathione as a whole is absolutely important, and it can reduce and it can improve the immune system within 1 hour. So having this glutathione levels optimized at all time has been my mission for the last 20 plus years, to let people know that, hey, if there's one thing you can do in life, one thing that can for sure increase your health span. I'm not talking about lifespan. I'm talking about health span. That means you are disease free for much longer than normally you would be. Make sure that your glutathione levels in your bodies are optimized.
Well, at what point do our levels really begin to noticeably decline?
I'm sorry, one more time.
Sorry, at what age, what point of our
Oh,
life does our glutathione, is there a big drop off?
there's no big drop off.
There
That's
isn't.
the
Okay.
best part. That's the best part because your body is resilient. They can produce for the rest of your life. But there's a gradual decline starting the age of around 30. And it's different for everybody. If you're extremely healthy, not smoking, not drinking, good sleep patterns, drinking water all the time, less exposure to oxidative stress or chemicals and pollution, things like that, your levels are going to be fine till 30, 35. And then there is a gradual decrease in glutathione levels, and the needs does not change. There's a gap. This gap is actually what we call is initially it's called oxidation, but the gap persists between how much your body can produce antioxidants and how much your body needs it. This gap will eventually increase to a point where it becomes oxidative stress. And then once you get oxidative stress, it is snowballing, right? Like the mountain with the snow, right? When the one pebble of snow does not cause anything, but when it starts traveling down the mountain, it picks up all kinds of other things and becomes a big ball or big ups a huge problem. That's what happens with oxidative stress. Initially, it's not a big deal, but then if the body cannot produce enough glutathione and your needs are always going to be constant, the problem gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and eventually shows up in your blood tests, your scans, and um, your history and physical. And if that gets ignored, eventually leads to diseases. So what we are saying is that yes, we can talk about measuring and things like that, but what we really want to talk about is what can we do today, health wise, choices wise, to make sure we don't deplete our glutathione levels. And if it does deplete, what can we do to replenish them, whether with diet or supplementation?
Is the talk of glutathione and its impact and its decline and this gap, is this talked about in the medical space at all, or is this still purely resting in integrative health?
Unfortunately, as I said earlier, 140 years we have known about glutathione. Multiple thousands and thousands of studies have been done, but until today, we never had a molecule that actually penetrated the cell membrane. We never had one. And so, if you have no way to improve glutathione levels to the highest amount, there's no way we can study it. And
Hmm.
so there's a technology that existed now. We discovered this technology back in 2007, and we went to pharmaceutical companies to see if we can do further research. Of course, they were not interested in that portion because the patents were not very strong at that time. And they said that, well, we can't make any money selling glutathione. Plus, if glutathione can cure all the problems, then there'll be half the medication will be out of they'll be out of business. Anyway, so there were a lot of other reasons. But nobody has to study this molecule yet. When we did the first human trial back in 2023, this is when we found out that in 3 days there's a positive impact on humans. And so I said, oh my goodness. Now all we to do is figure out that if we can do that much work in 3 days, what if we do for 30 days or 30 months or 30 years? I mean, is there a potential that we will never have to be having any diseases? We can still die, but we don't have to die from diseases? I'm not sure yet.
Well, you know that my background is within the cancer space,
Yes.
and there are studies, right, wrong, or otherwise, that have put a little bit of a fear into that area of health about increasing glutathione levels externally, I guess, with
Yes.
supplementation or whatever, um, and its possible impact on cancer growth. Now, can you address that area? And maybe this leads into this whole area of, supplementation. And are there any contraindications for taking a supplement?
So I just said earlier that glutathione is the most abundant molecule produced in the human body. If you have cancer, your body cannot stop producing glutathione. It will produce every single day, regardless if you have cancer or you don't have cancer, right? So to me, that doesn't make sense that if a molecule that is produced internally in abundance, how can we say that just because that if you have cancer, you cannot take glutathione supplementation because it is going to increase the levels and it's going to feed the cancer? You're born with cancer cells. You're born with every single thing, all these issues. But the thing is, your own immune system puts everything in check.
Mhm.
And until now, all the supplementations were actually not getting absorbed anyway. So what they were doing was they were providing the human body with cysteine molecule and using that to produce your own glutathione. FDA has approved a drug, uh, NAC, which is called mucomist, and it's just NAC, so N-acetylcysteine, and cysteine amino acid has been used to make your own glutathione. And so as much as I would love to read the research and agree with it, when it comes to cancer and cancer treatments and things like that, if you're enhancing your own body's glutathione, I don't see that as an issue, as a concern for cancer patients. Now, there are certain medications that rely on oxidative stress to kill the cancer cells. But this is it's like it is widespread. It kills all your regular cells as well in terms of not just the cancer cells. And so there's a lot of damage there's a lot of collateral damage that happens to the human body above and beyond just dealing with cancer cells. And so in my practice, we do work with a lot of integrative oncologists They do understand the glutathione. We have a technology now that can actually enhance the glutathione levels without your body producing any. And there's a theory out there. Again, this is just a theory, so make sure people understand this is not a proven fact yet. There's a theory out there that if the cancer cell survives on glutathione and it hijacks your own body's production of glutathione, if you give somebody from outside sources glutathione and the body shuts down its own production, there's a potential that it can starve the cancer cells because the body's not producing because the body has enough from outside sources.
Interesting.
So it's just concept. Anyways,
It's just something that has to be brought up because this is, there's so many things that are, and I don't read all of the research, of course, but the headlines and some of these things are a little bit daunting for someone who's going through treatment. So I always like to talk when we're talking about supplementation and so forth, contraindications that maybe some people should be aware of. So thank you for clearing that up. As with everything, I'm always recommending people to talk to their oncology team if this is something that's of interest. But moving on from that. What patterns, what are common symptoms that you clinically see when someone is low in glutathione?
so by the time you find out that people have reduced the glutathione levels, it is kind of late. So I'll tell you early on. In my research with dealing with hundreds of thousands of patients and measuring glutathione levels for a lot of those people, what we have found out is starting the age of about 30 is when you say first decline. And the decline is so subtle that usually you usually ignore that because it's change in energy levels. Uh, you don't get to see or you don't get to experience major concerns or issues until the levels gets really low. Then you have issues with foggy brain or thinking patterns. Uh, Again, about the age of 30 or 35, you're blaming either your kids or your workload or stressors of now we have to make ends meet. And there's a lot of things going on in your life at this age that you don't tend to blame that your body is deteriorating at this point. And so the symptoms of fatigue, symptoms of brain fog, symptoms of poor sleep patterns, all those things are mediocre, right, compared to what else is going on in your life. But then eventually the oxidative stress will start deterring your body from inside. Eventually it pops up on the skin as an age spot or a liver spots, what is what they call them, and things like that. That is oxidation happening at the skin levels, and that's a physical something that you see with your own eyes. Of course, you say that I've been sunbathing a lot, so that's coming from the sun, and that could be true as well. But the signs and symptoms are rather subtle, and then eventually people don't realize that their oxidative stress is linked to literally every single diseases in the world. And so when you get a disease, it's usually about 15 or 20 years after the oxidative stress was increasing. It's not right away. And so if you're looking for one particular symptom that's going to take care of, that's going to tell you that you have low glutathione levels, you're going to miss it every single time.
Interesting. Um, let's take a break here because when we come back to the show, I want to talk about the supplements that you have created, why it is a market mover within this space. So everyone, stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
You are listening to The Health Hub here on Radio Maria Canada, a Catholic voice wherever you are. To contact us and be a part of the show, email thh@radiomaria.ca. We now continue with the program. Here once again is your host, Cathy Biase.
Welcome back to the Health Hub, everybody. Before the break, I was going to get into a question. I didn't want to exceed our time, so I thought that we'll bring this up in the second half. We want to talk about the role of glutathione, Dr. Patel. Can it be used preventatively as opposed, preventatively with respect to chronic disease. Is this kind of the headspace we should be thinking of when we talk about glutathione?
This is exactly what we should be talking about. And the reason is because all the medications in the world, all the doctors in the world, as of today, have never been able to reverse any diseases. And so medical interventions have not progressed to the point where we are able to eradicate diseases. The best we can do is manage your problems. And we've been managing people's problems for eons, and nothing's have happened. We're still going to die. We're still going to be, there's no way we can be disease free. And if all the diseases has linked to oxidative stress, and there's a way to reduce oxidative stress down to zero every single day, that should be step number one. Now, I'm not sure how many more steps are there to create a disease, but we already know oxidative stress is linked to every diseases. And if we can just shut that one thing down, we might be able to see something else that may be causing diseases in the future, and we'll be working on that project in the future. But today, that's the one. Now, I'll give you one example. Back in the 40s, there was one medication that was invented back in the 40s that actually was the only medication that increased the lifespan by decade, and that was penicillin.
Mhm.
Because back then everybody was dying off of infections. Sanitation was a big issue, and infection was something was rampant, and people die of infections all the time. With the advent of penicillin, people start living 20 plus years longer because now we can kill the infection and not people didn't die, right? But today, you will not take penicillin every single day to prevent or to live longer. No way, right? And so today, I think the number one cause of death in everybody is oxidative stress. And if there's a way to reduce oxidative stress down today, we should be doing that right now every single day until we can figure out if this the last straw, or is it something else that's out there above and beyond oxidative stress that is killing us.
To go with the science as it comes to us.
Exactly. So
Mhm.
I'm not here to tell you that, hey, this is going to be cure all for every problems, but we know oxidative stress is an issue. So let's just nip it in the bud right now. That's it.
Well, it kind of begs the question then, can taking glutathione help restore function once damage has occurred? Can it help reverse disease?
I I can only give you an example, and I would love to share a story about my father before this episode is over. So I'll come back to that story because that story is very impactful, and I think everybody should get the story. But the question is, how do I improve glutathione levels? Right? If glutathione is going to be great, I can't be stuck on supplements for the rest of my life. So there has to be ways to improve glutathione levels above and beyond just supplements. And once everything is exhausted, yes, I'll take supplements. But before that, what else can we do? I mean, that's a better question for me is
Mhm.
to what can I do? Is it okay if I go to that route first?
Absolutely.
So when it comes to supplementation, drug supplementation is easy, but like my grandpa used to say, in order for you to be rich, what you need to do is reduce your expenses. So whatever money you
True.
got, you feel rich, right? And so when it comes to glutathione rich, you need to reduce your expenses. What depletes all your glutathione levels? Exposure to chemicals, exposure to solvents like alcohol, right? So if you can reduce smoking, drinking alcohol, exposure to pollutions, exposure to chemicals, trying to be as chemical free as possible, they will reduce your need for glutathione and will improve your glutathione levels automatically because you don't need that much. Now, if you do have to produce more glutathione by your body, as I said earlier, cysteine-rich foods will get you all the way there, right? When you're young, you don't trust me, you don't need any supplementation whatsoever. Just make some better choices. Your body is absolutely perfect to make as much as you want. And so do those kinds of things. Now that you're after the age of 30, 35, or maybe 40, and hopefully by that time you have no issues whatsoever, you need supplementations. And the supplementations on the marketplace is tremendous, right? There's some liposomal technology products of glutathione. There's glutathione capsules by itself with nothing in there. Then there's intravenous form of glutathione that you can go to a doctor's office and inject themselves. And all these things, as I was actually making all these products, I started this journey in 1999. I was making the liposome form of glutathione back in 1999, and we found out that it worked for a lot of people, it did not work for everybody. So I figured out that there has to be some better results because my brain was going at it and said, hey, if gluten is this important to your body, it should work on everybody, not just on some people, right? So if I didn't get results in everybody, I said, okay, no, this thing is not the right way. There has to be something better. Then I went to IV form of glutathione, intravenous glutathione, and it was only short-lived. It did not work for all the time, but it worked a lot of people, but short-lived. And so I looked at the research, and sure enough, in 1991, this 10 years before I started making the glutathione, they had this technology, they had this research trial done on humans saying that, hey, the glutathione, when you inject it, it never actually penetrates a cell membrane. It stays in the plasma, which is the water part of the blood, and the kidney filters the plasma out and dumps all the glutathione in the urine. So within 5 to 15 minutes, all the glutathione gets dumped into the urine. But the researchers did find was the glutathione was actually a tripeptide. The body actually broke it down. The enzymes in the body broke down this glutathione and reabsorbed the cysteine out of it.
Hmm.
And so back in my mind as a pharmacist, I said, thinking, I said, wait a second. The body knew what it wanted, so it took the cysteine out of it, use the cysteine to make its own glutathione. Wait a second. 40, 50 years before that, back in the 60s, FDA had already approved cysteine as a drug to improve glutathione levels. So even back then, we already knew that cysteine was the only molecule that actually worked, right? And so I said, I'm going back and forth, how come liposome did not work? And in 2011, which is like 10, 11 years afterwards, I found out it was not working. A researcher in Texas, in Austin, Texas, at the University of Texas, did a research on 26 autistic kids. And they found out the same exact thing. When they get a liposome form of glutathione, the body absorbs zero. The body broke it down into amino acids, absorbed the amino acids, and made your own glutathione. Wait a second. You can just take amino acids and make your own glutathione. That would be the game changer. And so that was been going on for all these years. And my research says that, hey, this is good for everybody, for most people, but what if you have a gene mutation where body cannot produce glutathione? Now what happens? And we had no idea how many people exist like that. It could be one person, could be 10 people. But when we found out that it's over 5 to 10% of the total population, as a gene mutation that you get as you age, and the number increases as you age, wait a second, we have to get a way to improve the glutathione levels. So I was working on a technology using a cell-to-cell transfer system, which is on every cell membrane, there's something called lipid rafts, and lipid rafts is to transport nutrients from cell to cell. We use that lipid rafts to transport using a sugar molecule glutathione inside. And when we did that first time in 2007, it was like a magic happened in front of my eyes, right? Immediately we saw benefits of glutathione. Like the benefits is like if somebody gets a burn, like a sunburn, it's too much oxidative stress. As soon as I put the glutathione topically, the sunburn goes away. Sorry, the not the burn, the pain goes away immediately. The body's starting to heal. And so when we realized that part, I said, okay, this is already happening. It took me 14 more years of research trying to figure out it's a topical form of glutathione, uses the skin cells to transfer from one cell to another, and it reaches the whole body. When we figured that portion out, I said, oh my God, now we have a way to improve glutathione levels on everybody, not just on somebody, on 100% of the population. And so in 2021, we released the product to the public for the very first time, even though it was discovered back in 2007. We were using physicians all over the country and using that as a trial product for a lot of our patients. And the results were just little short of miracle. And eventually the doctor says, yep, this is a great product. Let's start having all the people use it.
The thing to me is that glutathione is not really tested, is it? Levels.
So you can test your levels of glutathione. We did the testings as well in the blood, but you cannot measure the plasma, the water plasma. You have to spin the blood and take the blood cells, the red blood cells out, and make sure the levels are in the red blood cells. Other way is to also do a muscle biopsy and to see how your mitochondria is functioning, because the mitochondria is what gets damaged when you have low glutathione levels. So there's multiple ways of doing that part, but the easiest way is to do a blood test. Nobody will do a muscle biopsies to try to figure out what your
No.
levels are. Yeah, so blood test may give you some results, but it is still that we have done thousands of tests, and if somebody's above the age of 30, I know for sure for 40 and above, I've never seen anybody over the age of 40 have normal levels. 30
So
to
then
40.
how much do you know, like as far as supplementation, is it just a graduated curve that as we get older, we increase our glutathione supplementation, or how do we know how much? Like if this is a topical skin cream, does someone the age of 60 put double the age of someone that's 40?
So, no. So there's only certain amount that your body produces every day,
Okay.
right? It doesn't matter if you're 25 years old or 65 years old. It doesn't really matter. We only produce enough glutathione for the day, which raises your level up to like 950 to 1,000 micromoles per liter is what the ranges are in terms of how much your body needs on a daily basis. Of course, your needs are higher if you've not had it for a long time because your oxidative stress is high for a long time. So your needs may be higher for temporarily, but then eventually you only need to raise your level to 950 to 980 to 1,000 micromoles per liter. In our trials, what we found out was 100 milligrams topically, I can get you that level. I don't have the same exact ranges when I give you IVs or liposomes, because liposomes I can give 1,000 milligrams and I can still not, well, I still cannot get there. IVs I can give you 2 to 5,000 milligrams and I cannot get there. Versus topically 100 milligrams and I can get those levels up that high.
On
And
a
so
daily basis?
on a daily basis. So it's usually twice a day because to sustain those levels that high, the body uses up pretty fast. So to sustain those levels, we figured out that twice a day application is necessary.
If we have excess vitamin C, we pee it out.
Yeah.
Can we have excess glutathione if we are giving our body more than it actually needs? Does that manifest in something within our body, or do we get rid of it?
Yes. Yes. I hope we can get rid of it, but keep in mind it's a tripeptide. It's not body has system built in to conserve and recycle glutathione. Because it's hard to produce, and once it's produced, they don't want to get rid of it. So excess glutathione can also pose threat to the body, and I think so. There's that the threat is real, in the sense that body instead of being in a stress environment goes into zero stress environment in a reductive state environment. That actually is not good for human body. You always be on an alert. That means something is going to come down and I'm ready for it, right? You have to be on alert.
Yeah.
When you have too much of glutathione, your body goes into not alerting yourself and it's completely opposite side. When that happens, the signals are literally you start getting rashes all over your body, you start getting itching, you start cramping in your stomach, you may have diarrhea, you may have massive headaches from it too, and things like that. So, too much of glutathione can also have these issues, but not enough. You won't be able. Your body will be always in oxidative stress. So, finding the right dose was critical, and took us 4 years to figure that portion out. Because one of the doctors I was working with in Utah was scratching his head. I said, "Man, I'm used to giving you IVs whatever I want, and with this product, I cannot give too much. What's going on?" And so he took upon himself and started doing patients and try to figure out what can I do. And the dose we found out was 100 milligrams. He was giving 400 to 600 milligrams at a time and giving all these reactions. When he came down to 100 milligrams, the levels rose to 950 to 980 on everybody. People started feeling better with no problems. And all of a sudden, that's the dose we thought it was going to be ideal. So since 2011 till 2021, is we use that dose on a lot of our patients and customers, and we had zero issues.
Interesting. So, with respect to the science that we've talked about and research, are we still progressing at this time? Like, is there something that you are really excited about when it comes to glutathione research and longevity medicine and the next steps
Next
with
step.
your processes?
So this is see, I knew you were going to ask me this question. That's what my dad's story comes into play because
Perfect.
this is absolutely what I've been waiting for because like any good inventors, they either you love what you created or you absolutely hate it or you have no idea what you created, right? I didn't hate it, I didn't love it, I had no idea what I had. So my dad had a myocardial infarction. He had a stent put in his one of his artery, was 100% blocked. He was type 2 diabetes, had arthritis, blood pressure issues. He was never the healthiest kid in the bunch, but I mean, he was healthy enough to do whatever he wanted to do. He did some yoga, he did some walking here and there, but at the age of 78, when he found this problem, he goes, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. He was already taking testosterone, doing some nutrition supplementations, going to the doctors, doing all this, taking care of all his needs. But with all the things that I was doing, I still could not stop any of his, right? So, long story short, about that time, I had discovered the glutathione. And this was only 3 or 4 years into it. I already found what the doses were. My dad came with this issue and says, "Hey, Dad, why don't you start taking glutathione every day, 4 sprays twice a day, and see what happens, right? And don't, what else do you do with the medication?" I said, "Well, the medication is not going to solve any problems. It's up to you." I said, if I don't need it, I don't want to take it. I said, well, you got to take your blood thinners, but that's about it. But the rest of the medications, like the cholesterol pills and all the stuff, you can decide what you want to do. So he stopped. He didn't take any cholesterol pills. Only took a blood thinner because there was a stent put in. It was a mechanical stent inside the artery, so he had to take a blood thinner. But started taking glutathione. And 2 years goes by, like a good son I am, I did not check up on him. Right? One of those things. I said, I'm a very good kid. I forgot about my father.
Yeah.
But 2 years later, I saw him at a dinner table one day. He was just pounding on sugars and carbs. I said, Dad, what are you doing? Just be careful about your diabetes because it gets really bad as in old age with dealing with diabetes and secondary causes of problems with diabetes. I said, what are you talking about? My sugar levels are normal. I started laughing. I said, "Oh no, really? No, no, no. I'm not kidding you." So he pulls his phone out, right? Tell me, hey, look at my lab results. The doctor had texted him his lab results, and his A1C and his sugar levels were normal for almost 6 months, and he
Excellent.
had to reduce his medication down to just one pill a day. I said, that doesn't make sense. I said, what is this thing? I said, okay, you know what? I said, Dad, don't worry about it. The diabetes that never goes away. So you just continue what you're doing, but make sure you walk every single day for 30 minutes. And he says that I know that you have arthritis and all those things, but you make sure walk every day for 30 minutes. And then he shows me his health app out. At that time, it was a different app. And he was so happy to show it to me. I said, hey, I know what you're going to say. Let me eat in peace. Just look at my phone. He was walking 6 miles per day every day,
Wow, that's something.
right? And I started looking at it. First of all, I didn't put two and two together yet. It took me 10 years to realize what was going on, by the way. Okay, 10 years. That's how stupid I was, right? And and I started looking at my dad's health getting better. My dad was, hey, I want to travel the world. Every year, every single year, he went overseas. And my mom passed away 25 plus years ago. He was single. He's 80 some years old. He was traveling the world. He made, in the last 11 years, he made 13 overseas trips. He went to Australia, New Zealand, they walked the Glacier Mountains. He went to Costa Rica for 10 days. He went to Hawaii, to the Big Island and did some adventures over there. He went to the Yosemite National Park in California and did some adventures over there and traveled to India and Africa. I mean, you name it. Now he's getting 80, 84, 85, and then comes one day comes to me and said, "Hey, I went to a chiropractor. My hip is not aligning properly. That's because my knees are bad." So he says that I get knee replacement surgeries done. So Dad, you're 84, but you know what? Whatever. I'll indulge you. This time I'm not asking too many questions. I get to go to a surgeon, and the surgeon goes, "Yep, but I can't believe he's still walking because his knees are completely deformed for 40 years of arthritis." Shoot, it's all everything is deformed. I said, okay, surgery. I said, I can do one knee at a time. I said, Dad goes, nope, 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 nope. Both knee at the same time because I know it's very painful and I'll never come back with a second surgery. So both knee at the same time at the age of 84, right? And so he scheduled the surgery like a few months later, which was now he's turning 85. And the doctor told him all the things he has to do before the surgery so he can get stronger, like biking and getting all the quads stronger. He did everything. Walked out of the hospital in a day and a half after double knee replacement, and 30 days later he was walking a block, and the doctor
Good
could
for
not
him.
believe it. The doctor could not believe it. He says that it took you 6 months for recovery. In 3.5 months, he was in India. So
All
he was
because of glutathione.
all. This is the only thing I gave
The
him.
only
This
thing that changed.
the only thing that changed in the last 10 years of his life. And then last year he was in India traveling again. He's just this kid that just having so much fun by himself. Now he's 88, 89 years of age, and he's traveling the world. He has his own house over there, goes there, opens the house, gets some people to help him out with cleaning the house, and gets his food. He does everything on his own, right? He does everything on his own. He was walking by the ocean every day and just enjoying life. And of course, he was eating street foods in India. His body doesn't get used to it. So he started getting some diarrhea from it, some loose bowel movements. I told Dad, I said, Dad, watch out. But salmonella poisoning is real. And, just don't eat street food. Just go to restaurants and eat some hot food over there. It's better for you. Right? I said, okay, okay, I'll take care of it. And 2 days later, the diarrhea did not stop and he fell down in the shower. Boom,
Oh,
broke his skull, right? Went to the thing is, he went to the hospital right away because still was coherent, everything called and went to the hospital right away. And I had some friends of neurosurgeons at NFL. I called one of my friend up. I said, "Hey, doc, so and so, my dad's in India, just fell down." I said, "Oh my goodness, is he bleeding?" I said, "Yep, he has internal bleeding going on." I said, "Is he talking? Is he coherent? Is he conscious?" I said, "Nope, everything is good. He's talking to me. He's FaceTiming me. There's no loss of memory." I said, "Okay, do not operate. Do not do anything. I'll arrange somebody to go see him right now." In 2 hours, he made some arrangement to go visit my dad. Somebody went to see my dad to get results. And he said that, "Oh, your dad's fine. There's some bleeding going on. Hopefully, the bleeding stops. So we can observe for next 3 days. If everything's okay, next week he should be able to travel back to the United States." And my dad goes, "See, I told you, I'll be fine. Don't worry, you know." And he started making all the phone calls to everybody. He's 89 years of age. His brother's alive. His sister's alive. He's just calling all of us. And goes, "Oh my God, it's getting too late. So I'll talk to you tomorrow." Puts the phone down, goes to sleep, and he never wakes up.
oh,
And so my story is not about the last day. The story is about the last 11 or 12 years of his
mhm.
life. Was he surviving or was he living his life?
That is the key, right? You want a
Yeah,
healthy life.
out of
It's
healthy
not
life.
just about longevity.
And my day comes, God, pick me up. Don't let me suffer even for one day. Just pick me up.
Absolutely.
I'm okay
Yep.
when my time is done. The day before he was walking by the ocean, right? And the
Hmm.
next day he was gone. Isn't that life is all this is what we pray for every single day.
Exactly.
And when
Exactly.
it happens to us, we thought that, oh my God, I talk about this so freely because I still believe my dad is still alive because he never suffered a single day.
Yep.
He never had to go through the process and of thinking, oh my God, I'm glad that he's in a better place now. I said, no, he's in a better place not because he was in disease. He's a better place because he chose to be there.
Yeah. And that's the dream, right? That's
That's
what
the
we all
dream.
want, to live
And
healthy, and then when our time is up, to die healthy.
to die
You
healthy.
know, really.
And if an 85, 88-year-old person can heal itself and become not a disease free, but completely become symptoms free,
Hmm. Yeah,
isn't
and
it?
that is true too, right? We
Yeah,
can oftentimes live with disease. It's the
yeah,
symptoms that we don't want, right?
that's it. And so that's my hope for everybody. That's my ask for everybody. I said, do whatever it takes. Your body will never give up on you. It will not give up on you. So please do the right thing. Just because you're at a certain age doesn't mean you have to misbehave now and things like that. Just do the right thing. The body will heal itself, will try to restore back to normal. Sleep better, drink water, do the right things. Optimize your diet to have enough glutathione levels. Stop smoking, stop drinking, stop exposing yourself to chemicals, and do whatever it takes to preserve this body. Because if you do that part, I promise you, the body will come back to normal. It will give you a happy life to enjoy.
Wonderful. Well, that's a wonderful way to end off the show. Thank you so much for that and the wonderful story about your dad.
Thank you.
Your book, The Glutathione Revolution, Fight Disease, Slow Age, and Increase Energy, I'm going to assume is in all the hot spots. People can pick it up
Yes.
if they want to read it.
They can pick it up. Yep,
Amazon,
yep.
all of them.
All of
So
them. We also have
people,
an electronic copy as well as Audible.
okay.
Yep.
Wonderful. So, it's something very much worth looking into. And again, we're arming you with information that can be really health forward for you. So, Dr. Patel, thank you so much for joining us today. It was a wonderful show.
Appreciate your time today. If people want to reach out to me, can I give my email address
Absolutely.
or my website address?
Yes.
Yeah, so my website address is aurowellness.com, AURO wellness.com. And if you hit the contact page over there, you can ask me any questions. My team will refer the question to me directly. So I'll be more than happy to help you. And if you're in the longevity journey, please share your stories because we all want inspiration. And if you like this episode, please share it with your friends because we all need to share this information, and Kathy's done a fantastic job, and I want everybody to share this podcast with everybody.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, and we'll have your website address, Instagram, Facebook, all that in the show notes. So if you didn't have a pen handy, you can pick that up there. Thank you so much, Dr. Patel, and everybody. We'll talk to you next week on the Health Hub.
You have been listening to The Health Hub, hosted by Cathy Biase, here on Radio Maria Canada.